Are you Tony Stank?
Well, hello. You may be thinking, who is this guy and what is this around him? If you're listening, you probably don't think that at all because you can't see this. But basically, my name is Massey1903 and we are back with Delivery for Tony Stank, an MCU podcast. And this fantastic overlay was made by the lovely Corky Blues. So shout out to Corky for making this for me. It just adds something to the video, I think. Again, as I say, if you're listening to this, you can't see it. But if you do want to see it, come on over to the YouTube. Just search for Delivery for Tony Stank on YouTube, and you'll be able to see it and me in all my and our glory. But guys, let's get ready for the episode. Yes. So before we delve into the actual episode, I just wanted to give some first reactions about how I felt it went. Wow. Wow. What an episode. I mean, bleak. Is bleak the right word? I don't know if bleak is even strong enough for that episode. That was dark. That was like real dark. Disney and Marvel have not gone this dark. Ever? Well, since the snap probably. But oh my goodness, there is a lot to unpack from this episode, and a lot of things that I thought were going to be in there, a lot of things that caught me by surprise, and some thoughts for the MCU going forward. I say this every time, but I feel like this one is the one that has the most ramifications for the MCU as a whole. But yeah, it shook me. It really shook me. Yeah. Okay. So let's kind of get into the episode then. But my God, I enjoyed it. Okay. So we start with obviously our entrance, our title screen, which I love. And you know what I love about the title scene as well? The question that the watcher asks at the end, the way he asks it. It's not like he didn't just go, what if? He goes, what if? Like really pondering. I love it. And anyway, talking to the watcher, we then move on to seeing his figure staring over the streets of New York City. The interesting thing with the watcher, and something that obviously we'll touch on later into this episode, is that we seem to be seeing more and more of him. So he's still transparent, but he seems to be in front of the buildings, so getting closer and closer to ourselves. And that is obviously, I think it's as we get to know him more, and get used to him as well. I think that's why they're sort of doing that. But as I say, we'll see later on what the Watcher brings to this episode. Yeah. Now he talks about how the question is, what if the best intentions has very strange consequences? Obviously, a play on Stephen Strange's name, Doctor Strange, Mr. Strange. Strange pulls up in his Lamborghini with the wing doors, and it is a nice looking car. Even in this animation, it is a nice looking car. And he has, well, Christine comes out. Christine, Dr. Christine, she emerges from the building that he is pulled up at, and yeah, greets him quite lovingly and stuff. So in the movie, we know them as having had some form of relationship, where potentially now it was a bit rocky, or they had, I think they were actually exes, but still quite flirty and stuff as well. In this universe, though, they are it seems to be that they're still dating and still an item. They talk about creme brulee, which is an overrated dessert if you ask me. I mean it's basically just it's just cream and it's just burnt on the top, isn't it? Yeah. So less creme brulee talk, guys, and more action, please. Thank you, thank you. And then yeah, they end up getting in the Lambo, getting in the lovely Lambo. Now this is obviously kind of like a throwback or a parallel uh to the film, because this is where Doctor Strange suffered his accident, which meant he had to get his hands pretty much like rebuilt and stuff. Which is something that kept him as a surgeon, he needed his hand. That is his career. Kind of like how mine is my face. His hands were his moneymaker. And then obviously with the accident as we know it, when they had to get the hands rebuilt, he kind of used the scars and stuff of that to keep himself grounded, and the fact that he had shaky hands the whole time, and even through all the movies you've seen, even into Infinity War, we've seen the shake of his hands because they've been so damaged. Now obviously the crash did happen in the Lamborghini on this stretch of road, but this time he has Christine with him. They talk about obviously his speech. They're going to a show for him, and they talk about Christine tells him how they're going to a thing for him, like to show him to. It's all in his honor, basically. This kind of event. And she talks about the surgery that he performed. So let me try and get this right, because I am not a doctor. A radical hemispherectomy. Radical hemispherectomy. He performed that. So this is obviously why they're throwing this event for him, or why they're showcasing him. Now, as I've said before, what I do is in preparation for the podcast, I will watch the episode once. I will then watch New Rock Stars, who do an Easter egg breakdown. You can find them on YouTube. Please do. It's fantastic. Eric Voss goes into so much detail, and it's just an incredible source of information. And then I watch it again a second time, sometimes third time, with a more analytical hat on. New Rock Stars looked into the radical hemispherectomy, and what that is it's actually a surgery that removes half of the brain, or a part of the brain, to treat like seizures and things like that. Now that is obviously foreshadowing without telling us it's foreshadowing, because of what happens later on in the film, in the episode, sorry, where obviously Strange is split into two versions of himself within the same timeline. So I thought it was a really nice little detail. Again, I didn't pick up on because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon. As you can tell, I can hardly string a sentence together. But with New Rockstar saying that, it was such a little detail that unless you know what he's talking about, or unless you go and research it, it actually kind of foreshadows like the episode. So yes, they're going to show him off because of completing this surgery. The Doctor Strange, or sorry, Stephen, because he is Doctor Strange. Yeah, Stephen is behind a lorry. He tries to overtake, but manages to slam on the brakes and get back in behind. Now this is kind of where the crash happened for him in the movie that we know. But then, although he manages to get back behind the lorry, a car comes absolutely hurtling, speeding behind him, smashes right into the car, and it goes careening off the embankment down the hill. And this whole sequence of the car crash is actually pretty much frame for frame for the car crash in the film. Also, this time he's got Christine in the car with him, and Christine unfortunately passes away. Now there's a great shot of the behind the car, or sorry, looking through the like broken glass. It leaves like a splintered kind of circular frame for us to see Stephen starting to, you know, cry for Christine. And it just, for me, it was the imagery of the broken shards of glass, representing what we see at the start, what we see in the title sequence that we spoke about, the breaking off of timelines, universes, dimensions. So I thought it was a neat little deed. So Christine is dead. She's dead. We then get to her funeral. Obviously, Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange, looking over her, her coffin being lowered into the ground, and the Watcher tells us in this universe he didn't lose his hands but his heart. So with the grief, he then, as in the movie, he decides to go into the mystic arts. Learns more about to become a sorcerer, and obviously at this point he doesn't have, as I say, we spoke about his hands. He doesn't have that trauma to the hands to keep him kind of grounded. A few times in the film, he would look at his hands and see the scars, and that is what would keep him almost down to earth, or more down to earth than he would normally be. But he doesn't have that sort of visual trauma that he had in the movie to kind of keep him to keep him kind of more settled. So this obviously does cause things to go awry. But yeah, so he learns, like the movie, he learns how to become a sorcerer. He uses the Eye of Agamotto to change a time for the apple. It's pretty much the exact same shot of him using the Eye of Agamotto to reverse the apple being eaten and then back again. Again, you know, we've spoke about the animation in copious amount of times. It's brilliant. The animation is fantastic, and even when they're doing almost remakes of the film or the film scenes, it still looks incredible, and they've got every detail. The attention to detail is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Using the Eye of Agamotto, he then obviously is spoken to by Wong, who is Benedict Wong returning, and the Ancient One, who's obviously Tilda Swinton returning. I should have said we do have Benedict Cumberbatch back as Doctor Strange, and we do have Rachel McAdams back as Christine. Ancient One also then passes away, as she does in the film as well. And we go to the Watcher, who tells us that he tells us about what Stephen Strange does. He goes and he bargains with Dormammu again, and manages to defeat him. Now this is where things start to branch off from what we know of Doctor Strange. He sitting nursing a whiskey and has the Eye of Agamotto in his hand and dreams about Christine. He goes into this sort of mystic dream world where she talks about her favorite shirt, and it's just kind of like, yeah, basically him reminiscing about them. Wong turns up and essentially tells him that, you know, you've got to kind of let it go. Essentially, you can't do anything that's too reckless. So he goes and puts on the kettle. Of course, that's going to stop everyone from doing something reckless. Yeah, absolutely. But Doctor Strange decides to use the Eye of Agamotto, and he does his wee thing with his hands and opens it and puts himself back to the start of the episode, essentially, where we saw him welcoming Christine into his beautiful, beautiful Lamborghini. And this is where things start to go a bit wrong. So again, exactly the same lines, exactly the same shots, but this time you can tell that obviously he's gonna try and keep her alive. That's obvious. They have the car ride, but he talks to her using the words that she used with him on in the actual trip that they had, where she actually died. So that what actually happened. He basically uses her words, and she's obviously charmed by him as per usual. Who wouldn't be charmed by Benedict Cumberbatch? I know I certainly am. This time with the lorry, he doesn't go past it. He doesn't try and get round and overtake. Yet still, the car comes up behind and smashes in the back of them, and it's brutal. It is really brutal. You get the point of view of inside the car, and you see them all shake about, and then the exact same car crash happens. And Benedict, or Doctor Strange, wakes up and again screams for Christine, grief stricken, and we get that shattered window shot once more. It's quite hard hitting. As I say, watching it from the point of view of being in that car, it's more it's more brutal than when we see it from the outside, like we did before. So Doctor Strange decides to use the Eye of Agamotto again, and yeah, basically gets himself straight back into the start of the episode again. So we're essentially in some sort of time loop that he's created. Now this will be similar to the loop that he created to bargain with Dormammu in the movie, and obviously during at some point during this universe as well. He's done. So if you remember the movie, it was he created a time loop that essentially tortured Dormammu, and said he wouldn't break that until Dormammu left him, essentially. So yeah, this is like some sort of time loop where he keeps picking up Christine, and he tries something different. He decides not to go the bridge way. He decides to take a different route, but this time there's a lorry that hits them from the side, and again we get quick cuts to the Eye of Agamotto being used again, him trying different techniques, wanting her to stay in, order pizza and creme brulee. She decides not to. We get to see when they're actually at the event, they manage to get to the event, obviously, and she dies in some way. She clutches her body while they're dancing. Again, we cut to the next one. He's got her to a pizza place. Person walks in and with a gun ends up shooting her and killing her. So the next part, he decides not to even pick her up. She's just left there. We got a lot of quick cuts of the cars crashing. When he decides not to pick her up, you see him in a bar. He looks at the TV, and there's a report also about how Christine died in a explosion at the event as well. It's so emotional, and like it must be frustrating trying to think empathetically about the position he's in. The more and more things you try, and the more and more it doesn't work, the more and more that you see that she dies every time. The frustration that he must be going through, having seen his love of his life essentially die over and over and over again, and know that there seems to be nothing that he can do to stop that. Like, she's essentially destined to perish. yeah, I can't even begin to imagine what he's going through. And we see it in his face. His face is a lot more disheveled, a lot more sunken while he's talking to her, while he's yeah, he just looks like a broken man. um Christine drives this time, and again they're crashed into from behind from this maniac. But this time we see Stephen crawl out of the car and scream in absolute agony. Now, this is where the with Benedict Cumberbatch, he's done a lot of like motion capture and voice work. Like he did the motion cap and voice for I believe it was Smaug in that Hobbit film. He did the motion capture and the voice work for Dormammu. It was actually him that was the voice and the face behind Dormammu in the live action film. So he's an established, I mean, he's established actor. But see his voice acting here from this whole sequence where he gets more and more broken, more and more disheveled. His voice gets deeper. He gets slower in the way he talks, a bit more forlorn. And then we get to this part where he's obviously at the point where he knows that there's nothing else that he can do. And his scream, it kind of starts low and then gets more guttural and visceral and louder as he screams out. And the voice acting from Cumberbatch here is just top notch, phenomenal. You can hear the pain in his voice, and I'm Benedict Cumberbatch. I can give or take his movies and stuff, but in terms of what he does, in terms of the how good an actor he is, he's almost elite. Like that is, yeah. Whenever he shows up, he performs, and he does so again here. Right, so after the visceral scream from Mr. Cumberbatch, we have the Ancient One, Tilda Swinton, appear in a through like a blue portal-y kind of thing. Now, talking about voice acting, Tilda Swinton is fantastic here. Her voice is so calming. I don't know, something about it just makes me just makes my brain go brrr. Like it's so good. She'd be good for a podcast, actually. She'd be a good podcast host. Or like ASMR or something like that. Like it's it's brilliant. Anyway, enough about me crooning over Tilda Swinton's voice. She turns up and essentially tells him that, there's a choice. There's a choice. The death of Christine Palmer is now where his story starts. He can learn about the ancient arts, become Doctor Strange, become the Sorcerer Supreme, and he asks to help bring Christine back. Now, this is where we get the term absolute point. So, Dr. Christine Palmer's death is an absolute point. It's unchangeable, unmovable. Very similar to like Nexus events which we've heard about during WandaVision and Loki. I don't know if they're the same thing or not. I'm not 100% sure. It's hard to verbalize how I feel about it. I feel like the Nexus events are events that happen across timelines, but I think absolute points seem to be like what's holding the universe together. So if something happens to this absolute points, that's when the universe is destroyed or like ceases. I don't know. It's hard to say what I feel about them. But I mean, again, if you have a better way of explaining it, please let me know on Twitter at DeliveryMCU. So yes, Ancient One, turns up, tells him about the absolute points, how they're unchangeable, unmovable. You can't do anything about them. He isn't very happy about this. He's not very happy. He wants to find a way to bring Christine back, to reverse time. But yeah, he this is where he starts to turn into the dark Stephen Strange. He doesn't accept the answer that he can't bring her back. This what he, if he goes down the dark path, it ends this reality, is what she tells him. He decides to still go ahead with it, but the Ancient One uses their weird shieldy stuffs while he tries to like use the Eye of Agamotto to find a way to save Christine. And there's a massive blast. A massive blast of white light, yellow light coming from the Ancient One hitting Stephen Strange, and then he wakes up and he's in some sort of jungle-y sort of thing, still with Eye of Agamotto, and meets Mr. Obeng, who calls him with some sort of, there's some sort of lost communication, but basically Strange is looking for the library of Cagliostro, and speaks to this mysterious stranger, Obeng, who calls him Dr. Armani because of his suit. Again, a bit of miscommunication, very similar to the kind of the miscommunication name in the movie with Mads Mikkelsen's character. Yeah, and so yeah, essentially Strange is what to try and find this library to learn about ways that he could potentially resurrect Christine, or yeah, I mean, I think that is obviously his kind of his end goal. That is what he wants, is to get Christine back. He follows Obeng out to this fantastic looking library, or sorry, it's you don't see the books just yet. It's like it looks kind of like the place in Jordan that's set against the stone, and there's like a beautiful kind of carving in there. And yeah, he makes his way into the library. There is these runes on the floor that he manages to deal with one of them, the first one that he sees, but then as he comes through, more and more float up, and he gets pulled into like some sort of abyss. This is where he then sees Obeng, who talks about his name and how he is essentially the keeper, the guide. I think he calls himself the librarian, actually, of the books. And they come into this library. Now, this is a shot where in the trailers, I know I personally thought it might have been Asgard, because it has like the tree in the middle, the little pink tree. I thought it was like the Midgard tree of life thingy. But it's not. It's obviously not. So they're in the library. He's in this library of Cagliostro. I'm gonna get it right one time. Definitely get it right. And Doctor Strange starts. He goes through all the books to try and find a way of resurrecting Christine, and finds the one on time manipulation, and opens it, and there's the dark symbol. So this dark symbol is the same symbol, and it is the same pages that Mads Mikkelsen's villain in the movie removed from the book, and the Ancient One had on her head as like some sort of sign that she was taking power from the dark dimension. Doctor Strange goes through the book, or books, and finds a way of opening like a kind of portal, and out comes the first piece of continuity across What If. Out comes the tentacles from Captain Carter, from the Tesseract that the Red Skull was going to take as a champion of Hydra. What does this mean? What does this mean for What If? What does this mean for the MCU? Because this, as I say, this is the first time there's been some continuity. Now, we spoke last time about the still from the trailer where we saw Doctor Strange speaking to Captain Carter. This is where I was absolutely convinced that we'd see Peggy just pop her wee head out and start to chat to Strange or whatever they were going to do. But it doesn't happen. In fact, we don't see that scene whatsoever. We don't see the interaction between Doctor Strange and Captain Carter. There isn't one. So again, either Marvel have pulled the wool over our eyes, as they do very often in trailers, and as they do in trailers for, well, what I'm thinking they've done in No Way Home, what they did in Thor Ragnarok, what they did in Infinity War as well. Either that, or either the interaction between what looks like the dark Stephen Strange and Captain Carter happens at some point in the What If series, potentially in a later episode. As we know, Captain Carter is coming back for season 2, so yeah, that might mean something. But yeah, so the tentacles come up and deal with Stephen Strange. Is able to overpower him. He's not quite strong enough just yet. He wakes up with Obeng treating him, making him basically wake up and telling him that the powers. He says the beings don't bargain. It's quite an interesting wording because of how Doctor Strange bargained with Dormammu as well. But anyway, he's not strong enough just yet to face the tentacled, monster-y, dimension-y thingamabob, basically. Right, so now we get another kind of montage kind of thing where basically Strange starts small and works his way up to absorbing these beings' power. First one is our wee little gnome guy, who goes, no. Secondly, we have a bug, weird beetle-y kind of thing, and he takes his cloak of levitation from. Then there's the big old bird with like 6 eyes, the big old raven with 6 eyes. There is a dragon that turns his face red, a skull-headed being, a big old bat. Now, and after the big old bat, the Watcher talks to us. The Watcher says how he could warn him, he could intervene. But the fate of the universe is not worth risking the safety of all others. Besides, I doubt he'd listen. Now, this is the first time that we see someone actually sense the Watcher or even hear the Watcher. Because Stephen Strange turns around and says, hello, who's there, basically. Like, that is crazy. That is crazy because for us, the Watcher is, as I said before, the Watcher is our lens. He's our into the series, to the universes. And for a character in that universe to be able to sense or hear him, it's almost like breaking the fourth wall. It's almost like he can sense or hear us. And it's quite creepy. There's no music at all. There's no sound effects. There's nothing. There's just Doctor Strange talking, just listening. It's just it's eerie. It's really, really eerie. Yeah. So he then continues. There's the evil elk, dragon, a wolf, snake, crazy demons that turn up, and we see an outside view of the lost library and how time is flowing past really quickly. And yeah, time has passed centuries, and then we get the tentacle creature, and he's strong enough to be able to cut off some of the tentacles and then also absorb them as well. So this dude is crazy strong now. Strange comes out of the the main atrium where he is, where he's been housed, and speaks to Bang, and he tells him he's been going for centuries trying to get the strength. But also he tells him that he is one half of himself, essentially. Which at first I was like, what are you absolutely talking about, mate? Like, I had absolutely no idea what he was on about. But thankfully we get some sort of we get a kind of flashback and stuff. Basically we go back to the point in time where Strange is speaking to Wong, and Wong goes to pop the kettle on, as I said. You know, of course, cup of tea stops anyone from doing something reckless, and the Strange that we're watching now, decides not to go into the time loop of trying to save Christine and get into the obsession of trying to save or resurrect both, actually, Christine. Now this good Strange, the one that's not been corrupted by the obsessive nature, the you know, almost greed to do what he can to get Christy back. It's, you know, it's obsession. It's a bit of greed, but it's also, of course, fueled by love ultimately, and fueled by a broken heart essentially. But this Strange, the one that doesn't do the time loop, doesn't get the obsession to try and get Christine back, is looks outside, and everything's kind of dissolving, but it's like an inky kind of tarry substance that is kind of coming off humans, cars, buildings. So similar to the snap, but the snap is more like, it was more dust that the people turned into. As I say, this time it's more like ink, blotty, black, oozing ink. We then have the Ancient One turn up again through a little portal, but this time in more of like an astral projection. And she warns this Strange, our Strange, the good Strange, of what happened. So essentially, what she tells him is that she split Strange's, not soul, but like his timeline. So split it into two. There's one Strange that went down the path of trying to resurrect Christine, and there's this Strange who didn't. And essentially he's the one that needs to almost defeat the other one, or stop the other one from doing what he's doing, or else the whole reality will collapse. But he's the only one that's strong enough to defeat himself, pretty much. Back in the Sanctum Sanctorium, we have Wong and Strange doing protection spells on Strange as he goes to face himself. Once he completes the spells, though, he gets pulled through some sort of portal and wakes up and is met by himself, by the scary, dark, bleak, corrupted Strange, who, again, his facial expressions, you know, we saw him become more sunken, more withdrawn after watching Christine die over and over again. But this time we see he almost looks like Jafar from Aladdin. Literally, like, sharp cheekbones, pointed beard, or sorry, goatee. His eyes are really drawn in with dark circles around them. His hair It's kind of unkempt, and he's pale. He's obviously again, he's had this, well, essentially centuries, or the time it's taken to get to this point where he is now almost strong enough to potentially resurrect Christine. It's obviously taken its toll on him, and he just looks evil. Basically, the colors of his cape, the colors of his suit are all darker maroons and like a kind of purpley navy sort of thing, compared to the good one, who has like a lighter red cloak of levitation, has like, not light colors, but more actual toned colors, opposed to this like muted um garb that this bad Doctor Strange, or dark Doctor Strange has. The dark evil Doctor Strange tries to tell our one, or the good one, sorry, that they're the same, and they want the same goal, which is get Christine. But good Doctor Strange knows that they can't do that. That it's, as the Ancient One told them, it's literally not possible. It's an absolute point. They can't go back on it. It's essentially got to happen, and they can't resurrect her. There's then a bit where the evil Doctor Strange gets all angry, and the kind of demons and souls that he's absorbed kind of float out in rage, but he manages to kind of get them back under control. It's again a fantastic use of the lighting, of the dark Strange, contrasted with the blinding, almost violent yellow light that comes out from behind him and shows the black souls of the demons that he's absorbed. They then moves to the point where they're taken to the scene of the crash, and the evil Dark Strange tells him that their powers are diluted when there's two of them, but so they need to basically become whole, and once they're whole, they can then resurrect Christine. Obviously, the good Strange doesn't like that, and they fight. They have a battle. They have a crazy battle. What I love about this battle, so the first shot is Evil Strange uses his open mouth. There's a film, I can't remember what it's called, with Donald Sutherland, where at the end he points and opens his mouth. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I think it's called. And he kind of does that, but the yellow beams come out of his eyes and his mouth, and they hit the good Strange. And what I really love about this little detail of animation is when the first beam hits him, you see parts of the protection, parts of the protection spell sort of peel off his face, just some of the runes. And as they go through the battle, you see more and more of these runes come off, and there's less on his face that's protecting him. Bad Doctor Strange is still using his like demony powers, and he shoots like fireball things at the shields that our good Doctor Strange puts up. But then he changes his actual, what he looks like and what he has, so he gets the tentacles come out as his arms, and he comes flying and actually goes straight through the shield of our Doctor Strange, of good Doctor Strange, and takes him by the throat. Again, you see some more of the runes sort of fall off his face. So as the protection spell weakens, the more that it's hit. Good Strange can't control Bad Strange with a sort of yellow energy ropey kind of thing, and Bad Strange manages to break out and then uses these weird like sandworm things that come flying after Good Strange. Like they kind of go up through the ground and worm their way towards him. It's horrific. Like if you don't like worms, it's bad. Doctor Strange, our good Doctor Strange, then uses the wraps that he used in Infinity War on Thanos when trying to take off the Infinity Gauntlet. But the cloak of levitation gets out of Bad Strange, and the two cloaks then have a duel essentially. Well, the good and bad Stranges also have their fight as well. Again, good Doctor Strange fires a beam at the bad one, but he catches it and throws it right back, and essentially ties him to the ground. And while he's holding him down, is throw this massive beam of the red and yellowy kind of. It's not fireballs, but it's like power, and we see the runes start to rip off good Doctor Strange's face even more. As we can tell, he's getting to the point of essentially no return. The good cloak of levitation comes over, wraps up bad Doctor Strange's arms, sacrifices itself for the good Doctor Strange, and the bad one breaks open his arms and tears the cloak of levitation, which we actually hear give out a weird a little scream. Yeah, it's pretty horrendous. It's actually quite upsetting. And again, back to the firebolt beams. Good Doctor Strange fires one at the bad one, and it all goes a massive ball of yellow glow, and then settles to a dark seam of smoke floating out. We don't see anything else apart from an orb of light that comes up, and our good Strange stares at it the whole way. But it's also a distraction. The shadow from behind grows out the like, what are they called? It's almost like the collar of the bad Strange's local levitation, and he drags the good one into the shadows. There's then they're in some form of, I don't know if it's like an underworld or like a dimension in this reality where there's the inky blobs that are moving from both sides, from up and down, kind of coagulating. I think that's the word. It sounds good anyway. We'll go with that. And they get pulled into the good Doctor Strange gets pulled into a scene with Christine. Now, this scene is very similar to one of the first scenes he saw when he was dreaming about her, and she was talking about her about the t-shirt and stuff like that. Good Doctor Strange, you can see he yearns for her touch when she touches his face. He wants it to be real, but knows that it's not. They talk about the creme brulee again. Guys, gads, let's not talk about creme brulee. Overrated AF. But he says, you know, you're not true, you're not her, and then her face flickers and changes into the bad Doctor Strange, and they break through this glass. So again, similar to the dimensions that we see that break off as shards, they break out of this this kind of glass dream essentially, and go again flying towards Earth, getting kicked, kneed in the face, punched in the face, and more the runes are flying off his face as he gets more and more damaged. We then get to the point where literally the only rune left for a good Doctor Strange is in the middle of his head. So the spell's essentially done for. And he says to the evil Doctor Strange, you can't do this. Who says, but we must. He touches his head, removes that rune, and then does the dirty. He does the dirty with him. He absorbs him with his Invasion of the Body Snatchers style thing, takes his power, and he is our sorcerer, our Strange Supreme, I think they call him, who uses the Eye of Agamotto, which goes from green to red. So what I think that is, that's the Eye of Agamotto then turning into potential chaos magic. So like, if you remember with Wanda, her magic was red, and it was called the Chaos Magic, as Agatha said. I think this is then showing us that Doctor Strange is now using essentially chaos magic, the most powerful magic that there is, and he manages to resurrect Christine in a blue, almost astral projection, similar to the Ancient One's portal, which was like this light blue. The scene is still ink getting sucked up all around them, and Christine is into the arms of Doctor Strange, who now more resembles a beast, a demonic beast, which there's been talk of Mephisto. I don't know if it is. I don't think it is, but it's definitely looks very much Mephisto-y. Now, Mephisto is essentially the devil of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But yeah, it's quite unnerving, and she doesn't know what's happening. She has to pull away from Strange. He has eyes on the sides of his head that are moving by themselves. He's got the tentacles going at the back. He's got big wings. It looks almost like an anime demon-y kind of thing. Yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Again, the animation's been top notch throughout the whole season. But yeah, then Christine starts to blot away, and the reality breaks in itself. So basically, what we see is we see our frame is very similar to the frame on the car from behind, where it had it was like a circular frame of shards, whereas this time it's essentially a circular frame of the black inky blotting stuff. The demons leave Doctor Strange. He becomes a bit more like himself, and the rock that they get on kind of floats up. As I say, it starts to come in further and further and further. The sort of inky, blotty frame sort of thing, which kind of shows the universe, the reality is imploding itself, which is what the Ancient One said, is that, if they do all this, it will start to come into itself and destroy the universe. Now, this is this part. As Doctor Strange tries to hold off universe with magic, you can see the shards of the reality around them, breaking and things. And he looks up and sees our Watcher, Uatu. Past the shards, you see his ethereal figure and his bright eyes. Basically, what we see at the start of pretty much every episode. And he talks to him. He says, you can fix this. Please fix this. And our Uatu actually lies in, basically, and we see his full figure for pretty much the first time, and you get the humanoid face, his human features, his lips. He's talking, and he tells him, that he can't fix it the same way he fixed Christine, and tells him that he was warned. He was told not to do this. Doctor Strange kind of sounds more human-like, less obsessed now that he's done what he set out to do, and now he's seen the implications that has happened. He seems a lot more human and a lot more empathetic himself. He says that the world shouldn't be thinking for what's the word? Shouldn't pay for his arrogance, is what he says. But yeah, shouldn't be hurt for what he did. And he tells about how he read about the Watcher, sensed his presence, knows he's a god who can undo it. But the Watcher tells us he's not a god, neither are you. But yeah, he then tells him that, he says if he could fix it, he would, but he can't. He's not allowed to interfere. And and then floats back into his ethereal form out with this reality. So this is the first time we see the Watcher actually interact with some form of reality. I think he did this because the reality was ending. The reality was going to cease to exist. And he knew that even if he came in and spoke to its character, that's not going to change much at all. Yeah, but well, I'll speak about this when we get to the end. Okay, so our final shot, we see Strange looking over at Christine, who's ink blotting away, and the reality fully implodes and becomes like a diamond, a shardy, diamondy kind of thing, and basically Strange is left alone with Christine, who is ink blotting away. I'm just gonna keep calling it ink blotting because that's what it looks like to me. And then she floats away like she's been flipped, and Strange is left all alone in this reality, in this universe, which is basically just a small fraction of what it was, and it's a little diamondy thing. And Strange begs, he says, "I'm so sorry." And that's us. That is the end of the episode. It is such a dark ending. It just shows, that the obsession to do something can, or even grief can lead to almost self-destruction, or even, well, not, it doesn't lead to world destruction, but at this point in this thing it has, but the self-destruction of how he became so engulfed with wanting to resurrect Christine, but ended up destroying reality. Now, what I want to talk about was this Stephen Strange. So this Strange Supreme, they called him. I hesitate to say that it's confirmed, but there has been a suggestion that this Strange will be in Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness. I can see that happening. This Strange is obviously one of, if not the most powerful person or being that we've seen. Okay, the demon stuff seemed to have left his body potentially when the universe started to implode, but he's still I don't know if he's still got some form of that power with him. Is he able to break out of the universe? He was able to speak to the Watcher, even though this was even after the demons had potentially left. He was still able to speak to the Watcher and converse with him and sense him and actually like physically talk to him. Is there a way that this Strange is then able to get out of this reality? Is this where Captain Carter comes in? Is she able to take him through via the Tesseract potentially, or some other way? Is she able to take him into like another reality? Don't know, but that's where I think the Doctor Strange from here is potentially the Doctor Strange that is in the No Way Home trailer, Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, and why he's so not evil but mischievous, and potentially is opening a multiverse to try and get Christine or so. I don't know. We're just guessing here. It's all just guesswork. But we'll need to see what happens with Doctor Strange 2, because obviously Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse Madness and Spider-Man No Way Home apparently are essentially connected. As we know, Doctor Strange is part of No Way Home and is the main reason that or looks like could be the main reason that we're seeing these different universe villains and potentially different universe Spider-Mans. I don't know. But yes, it's really sad to see Doctor Strange in that point, and obviously he's been fueled by grief, and it just goes to show that what grief can lead to, what obsession can lead to, and And yeah, that is the episode done with. Phenomenal episode. I thought it was best of the series so far. Easily the best of the series so far. The animation is top notch. This time I think the story was head and shoulders above any of the stories we've had before. Again, it wasn't really a what if. It wasn't quite as the first episode with Captain Carter was a straight up, or the first two episodes, sorry, actually. So the Captain Carter and the Star Lord T'Challa ones are pretty straightforward what if questions. So what if Peggy got the super soldier serum? What if Star Lord was actually T'Challa? The last episode obviously I spoke about how it's, for me, it's more of like a who question as opposed to a what if, so it's not a straightforward what if. And this one, obviously, I don't think it's like a what ify question. I know they do say it's what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, but yeah, I don't see it as a straight up what if kind of question. But it's brilliant. It's an incredible episode full of a range of emotions, you know, starting from the love that they had at the start, to the grief, to the rage, obsession, the mystic part of it, the philosophical parts of it. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and this is what I wanted from the what if episodes. Again, as I say, it's not for me. It's tough to say it's a straight up what if question, but it has exactly what I wanted from the what if episodes. And the voice cast, you've got all the big players back. You've got Benedict Cumberbatch, Benny Wong, Tilda Swinton, Rachel McAdams. Is there anyone else? Big guys? I don't think so. But you've got all them back. I don't know if that's, yeah, that's testament to the episode. Again, as I say, Cumberbatch was phenomenal. Cumberbatch was his voice acting again for me was just brilliant. Like, he portrayed everything. I think it must be so hard to be a voice actor, because you don't have the facial expressions and things, and it may be quite hard to get into that character when you're not physically in that character. But yeah, as I say, he absolutely smashes it, and I was absolutely blown away by it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Again, you know, when I was saying how I'm going to be rating the series as a whole, I think, like, up till now, I would have put it like maybe like 7 or 8 out of 10. This episode alone elevates it to like 9 out of 10. I'm not going to say anything's 10 out of 10 just yet. I'm not that generous. But yeah, like, that episode is that's the absolute point of what if. That is our absolute point of what if, and I think that will carry the series going forward. So it'll either be a case of, will the series even get, you know, better from this point, or, well, I hope it does, and I feel like it kind of has all the way through. 1, 2, 3. 3 was like maybe a bit less than 2, but it seems to be getting better and better and better. And I think one of the things that they've done right is have the same writer throughout the whole series, AC Bradley, and the same director, I believe, as well. But yeah, phenomenal episode. So let's go see what you guys thought of the episode 2. Okie dokie. So as always, I put out a tweet on @DeliveryMCU when I'd watched the episode and asked you guys for your thoughts, for your comments, and yeah, here we are. So we had Mr. Fluid Highway @Fluid Highway. This episode was twice as strange as the last one. Genuinely moving, and once again, top animation. Now, guys, let's give it up for that pun. Beautiful. Twice as strange. Love it. Excellent. At F-Sake Jamie, this episode genuinely moved me to tears. Again, top animation, amazing performances. Highlight for me was the message of how grief can consume someone to self-destruct and destroy everyone and everything around them, which hit me in a personal level. Yeah, that's quite depressing. Not depressing comment, but Jamie, thank you for sharing your thoughts with that there. Act Bulls Celtic, absolutely brilliant episode, and I love the concept of it. Fits perfectly into what we have seen, and I feel like it's giving us a taster of future Doctor Strange content. Yeah, I mean, again, that's what we spoke about. You know, that how apparently this Doctor Strange is confirmed as being in Doctor Strange 2. I mean, I won't believe it until we see it, but yeah. At Foxy Snob, best one yet. Animation was sublime. Love me some Strange. Yeah, I mean, he's a weird looking guy, but he's actually a handsome guy in his own way, Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch. As I say, yeah, he absolutely smashed it. I don't think that I think the episode would have been fantastic with someone else playing Doctor Strange if they weren't able to get him back or whatever. But I think his voice acting, his what he did with the character elevated it even more to that. But yes, thank you so much for your tweets there, guys. Again, with What If episode 5, I will pop out a tweet again once I've watched it. Please, please, please let me know your thoughts. Please comment below that one, below that tweet, and let me know what you thought, and we'll get you featured on the podcast like these guys were basically. But yeah. So guys, that's us for another episode. Thank you so much for your support. I just wanted to say, you know, we've had a lot of people supporting the podcast, whether it's on YouTube or listening on all the platforms you can see below: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. I appreciate it so much. I think we had like 61 downloads. And that's just for the audio side of things. So that's crazy. And then on YouTube, there's been like a ridiculous amount of views. So guys, thank you so much. Please, if you like the podcast, let me know if there's any feedback you have. Please, please, please let me know. And if you know someone that likes the MCU, and you want to get them onto podcast, feel free to recommend us to friends, family, acquaintances, people you work with. It's something I want to keep doing. I have paid for a year of podcasting, so it's made me have to do it. I've paid for it, so I have to do it. I'm a typical Scotsman. If I pay for something, I need to get money out of it. I need to get the most out of it. But I was thinking of potentially doing like either a Patreon or I think it's called a Coffee, which could go towards like giveaways and stuff. Let me know what you think. I think it might work, but I need to work out the ins and outs of it. But let me know what you think. And if you have any feedback again, or if you've had any experience using that sort of things before, let me know so I can work something out. Big shout out again to Corky for making the overlay. He literally did it out of the goodness of his own heart. I left work today and had a message from him saying, "Oh, here you go. I've made this. What do you think?" And doesn't want anything for it. So incredible. Thanks so much for that. Corky does do a podcast as well, a weekly podcast called Discover Music NI, where he showcases like musicians from Northern Ireland. So please go and check it out. And again, thank you again for doing this for me, Corky. It means a lot that someone would do this out of the goodness of their heart. So thank you very much. But yes, we will be back next week. This new schedule is kind of working better for me because this is being recorded now Friday night, and I'll get it out for the weekend because that's just pretty much done. I can do it all in a winner. I watched the What If on Wednesday. I do the research on a Thursday and my notes on a Thursday, and then record it on a Friday. So it takes pressure off a little bit, makes it a bit easier to get out, and hopefully it's hopefully it still shows that I'm enjoying this and stuff like that. But yes, we are back. Obviously, we'll be back next week. So next weekend, you will get the next episode of the podcast talking about What If. Again, episode 5. Episode 5 already. Jeez, over halfway through because I think there's 9 episodes. Anyway, Shang-Chi is now out. It came out today, Friday, the 3rd of September. I will not be watching it until I'm thinking the 28th September. So 1, 2, 3, 3 and a bit weeks. Once I've watched it, there will be a podcast about it. But it's just because basically my wife hasn't had her second jab for long enough. I'm waiting until it's been like 2 weeks, and then I'll go and see it. Obviously, when I've got time off work as well. So look out for that. If you have any thoughts about Shang-Chi, though, please feel free to let me know again at Delivery MCU on Twitter. And yes, thank you guys very much. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.